الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وحبيب إلهنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين روحي وأرواحنا له الفداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. Respected scholars, my elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight is the night of Ashur. The journey that we began has come now to an end almost. The day of Ashur is upon us. And tonight is the night when the companions gathered and pledged their allegiance to their Mawla once again. And for us too, an opportunity to pledge allegiance to our Mawla, the Mawla of our time, inshallah. The topic that we wish to discuss tonight, which I thought was fitting for a night like tonight, is a culmination of everything we've spoken about. And this is Karbala, the school that keeps on giving. We mentioned this on one of the nights that when we look at Karbala, we find that Karbala is a university, a school, which has a lesson for each and every single person. From the little child to the youth, to the ladies, the children, the adults, the old people, for every single one of us, there is a lesson in Karbala. But today, inshallah, we wish to discuss this journey and this movement of Abu Abdullah. We want to look at it in a quick glance, from the beginning to the end. From Abu Abdullah's perspective, why is it that Karbala took place? What were the reasons for why Karbala took place? So, we want to discuss tonight's discussion in 2 points, inshallah. Number one, what are some of the messages and lessons that we can take from Abu Abdullah alayhi salam himself? Like we said, from the beginning of his journey till the end, what are some few lessons we can take from his own self? And how is Karbala applicable to us today? And the second point we want to discuss is one practical lesson we want to take, inshallah. So, let's start right from the start. Imam al-Hussein is in Medina and Muawiyah dies. And when Muawiyah dies, we find that Yazid takes over the hukumat against the sulh and the conditions that were laid out by Imam al-Hassan and Muawiyah. Yazid takes over as Muawiyah wanted him to. When Yazid takes over the hukumat and the reins of Khilafah, he writes letters to his governors all around. And one of those governors that he writes a letter to is, of course, the governor of Medina, Walid ibn Utbah. And this letter is like the other letters that is written to the other governors, except that within this letter, there's a secret letter that's also hidden inside it. As the letter approaches and Walid opens the letter, he finds the secret letter that's also written inside. And in this letter, Yazid commands and orders Walid ibn Utbah, the governor of Medina, to take bay'ah from 3 people. Amongst them, one of them is none other than Abu Abdullah. And he tells him that if he doesn't give you bay'at and he doesn't give allegiance to me, then chop off his head. Strike his head right there and then and send it to me. So this letter arrives and Walid reads it and he summons Abu Abdullah to his court. Now, when Abu Abdullah is going, he goes with the Bani Hashim, the children, and his companions, and as he arrives, he tells them, you stand outside, I will go inside. And if my voice is raised at any point, then you enter. He goes inside and there's a conversation that takes place between him and Walid ibn Utbah. There's one line from this conversation that I want to focus on, and this is the first lesson that we want to take from Abu Abdullah himself. As he's speaking to Walid ibn Utbah, he reaches a point where he says to Walid, he says, O Walid, understand and know that mithli la yuba'i'u mithla. Understand that somebody like me, a person like me, would never give allegiance to a person like him. A person like Hussein would never give allegiance to a person like Yazid. But what's interesting is the choice of words that our Imam uses over here. He could have easily said, Inni la ubayi'u Yazid. I will never give allegiance to Yazid. But Abu Abdullah leaves a lesson over here for all times to come. For all times to come. Mithli la yubayi'u mithla. A person like me, not me, anybody like me from now until the end of times, if he is to come up against a person like Yazid, then he would never give allegiance, and he should never give allegiance to a person like Yazid. In other words, this is a lesson for you and I, that when we're confronted with a person who holds the same values, who holds the same ideals as Yazid did, and we find ourselves in the same position as Abu Abdullah, the Imam is teaching us that a person like him, if we want to truly be like him, would never give allegiance to a person like Yazid. Whoever that may be, it doesn't matter. The name is not important, the person isn't important. Anyone who stands for Yazid's morals and values, in any time, this is a lesson for us that Imam al-Hussein is telling us, a person like me would never give allegiance to him. You see, it was very easy, like I said, for Imam to make it about himself. He could have said, like we said, that I would never give allegiance to Yazid. But Imam is clever, he knows what he's doing. If the Imam would have made this about himself, if he would have said that I will never give allegiance to Yazid, in the books of history it would have been recorded that this was just a power struggle. This was just a fight for Khilafah, something we'd seen in the past. And this animosity and this enmity that existed between the Banu Umayyah and the Banu Hashim, this is just a continuation of that. A man by the name of Hussein stood up against a man by the name of Yazid. One was from the Banu Hashim, one was from the Banu Umayyah. This is a fight that's been going on for years. History has it from before the Prophet's time, the Banu Hashim and Banu Umayyah had enmity between them. But Abu Abdullah didn't say that. He didn't say, I am not giving allegiance. A person like me would never give allegiance to a person like him. This is number one. Number two, a person like me means what? Means that if Hassan was in my place, then Hassan wouldn't give allegiance, because is Hassan not the same as Hussein? Is Hassan not mithl of Hussein? If Sajjad was in my place, he wouldn't give allegiance. If Baqir, if all of the Imams, any of them were in my place today, they would have never given allegiance to a person like him. Again, sometimes this doubt is raised amongst people. They say that, their temperaments were different. One of them was brave and strong, Imam al-Hussein. Nawd Billah was courageous and strong. And Imam al-Hassan al-Mujtaba, bless him, he was a very calm person. And that's why he went and he did the sulh with Muawiyah. That's why he did a peace treaty with Muawiyah. But Imam Hussein was a brave person, he was courageous. Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. No, my dear brothers and sisters. Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein, if you put Hassan in Hussein's place and Hussein in Hassan's place, they would do the same. The Imam is telling us, Mithli la yubayi'u mithla. Anybody in my place. Imam al-Hassan did not sign a peace treaty out of a place of weakness. And we see this in the narrations and the reports, that Imam al-Hassan was left all alone. He had no supporters with him. Had he have had supporters like Abu Abdullah, then he would have done what Imam al-Hussein had done, if the circumstances were the same as well. But you find that Yazid and Muawiyah were different. Yazid was cunning, Muawiyah was cunning. Yazid is sharibul khamr, somebody who drinks alcohol openly. Qatil nafs al-muhtarama, kills openly, breaks the hurmat and the rules of Islam openly. This is different now. So Abu Abdullah is teaching a lesson, number one, to you and I, that if you are in my place and there is a Yazid in front of you, no matter who he is, a follower of Abu Abdullah would never pledge allegiance to somebody like Yazid. This is the first lesson that we see from Imam al-Hussein himself. Moving on, now a time comes when he's heading out and he's going towards Kufa. At this point, his brother Muhammad Hanafiya comes to him and approaches him. And he says to him, "Oh Abu Abdullah, I fear for you. I know what this is leading to. Why don't you go somewhere else? Go to Madian, go to a place which is safe for you. A place where your followers are there and you'll be able to live peacefully over there. Do not head out. It hurts me because I know what the end is over here." Muhammad Hanafiya is speaking to Abu Abdullah. And this is when Abu Abdullah replies with a statement that we all know, this mission statement of his. First, he says to him, beautiful, beautiful, just pay attention to these words. Muhammad Hanafiya is giving him options. He's saying, go here, go there. You'll find peace and safety. Abu Abdullah replies to him, فَقَالَ الْحُسَيْنِ يَا أَخِي, O my dear brother, وَاللَّهِ لَوْ لَمْ يَكُنْ مَلْجَأً وَلَا مَأْوَى لَمَا بَايَعْتُ. Even if there was no options, even if there was no places that I could have gone to, yes, you've offered me options, you've told me you can go here and there. Understand that even if these options weren't there, I would still have never given bay'ah to a person like Yazid. Never. Why? Because Hussein stands with haqq and Yazid is absolute batil. So Imam is telling Muhammad ibn Hanafiya that I would never give bay'ah to a person like Yazid. And then what's interesting is he writes a wasiyah and he tells his brother to write this down. But Ya Hussein, you could have easily continued speaking to him. You were telling him, why are you telling him to write this down now, what you're going to say? Again, a lesson that this should remain in the books of history. The mission statement of Abu Abdullah, why he stood up and went out to fight against Yazid, let this be known in the books of history. This is when he says, إِنِّي لَمْ أَخْرُجْ أَشِرًا وَلَا بَطِرًا وَلَا مُفْسِدًا وَلَا ظَالِمًا. I have not come out from a place of pride or from a place of arrogance. I haven't come out from a place of wanting to cause corruption and dhulm and oppression in the world. Yes, there will be movements in the future, as we've seen, where people come out wanting to bring about change in the hukumat, but they come out from a place of ego. They come out from a place of wanting that place on position of power. Abu Abdullah is making it clear for you and I, and for all of history, that I haven't come out for any of these purposes. Then what have you come out for? وَإِنَّمَا خَرَجْتُ لِطَلَبِ الْإِصْلَاحِ فِي أُمَّةِ جَدِّي. I have come out to bring reform in the ummah of my grandfather, in this nation of my grandfather. Again, a very careful choice of words by Abu Abdullah. He could have said that I've come out for change, or I've come out, for example, to do an uprising. These different words that can mean similar meanings. Abu Abdullah is saying, I haven't come out for any of these things. I've come out لِطَلَبِ الْإِصْلَاحِ. And when you and I look at this word Islah, we find that Islah means reform. You see, many a times, like I said, a lot of movements happen in the world, a lot of uprisings happen. But there is change that comes about. Let's say there's a zalim, an oppressor, who is in the place of hukumat, and people come together, they revolt, they do an uprising, and the zalim is taken out, and there's change that comes about. But the person who comes to replace the zalim is himself a zalim. He's no better than the person who he has replaced. You've seen this, many uprisings in the world, many places where people stand up. The Arab Spring, for example, in around 2011, when all of these Arab countries, they started uprising and standing up against the government, and they overthrew the government. Yet today you look, unfortunately, the situation isn't much better. But Abu Abdullah isn't saying that I've come for an uprising or I've come to bring about change. He says, I've come to bring reform. Islah has this meaning that you go from something that is bad to something that is good. Always. There's no exception. Whenever you see there's islah, whenever you see there's reform, whenever you see there's this salah and good that happens, it means that you're going from a place where something was in a bad state, going and reforming towards a good state. Abu Abdullah is telling us in his mission statement that I haven't come out for any of these reasons, for dhulm or for my pride or arrogance. Rather, I've come to bring reform in the ummah of my grandfather. Why? Because as we know, the ummah was in a state like never before. Gunah had become so open. Yazid, who is at the helm, the leader, the one you look up to, like we said, was somebody who used to drink alcohol openly, who used to break and step on the rules of Allah openly. Now this is the time where Imam stands up. So this is the second point that we wanted to take, the second lesson that we wanted to take, that Abu Abdullah is telling us that I haven't stood up for any random reason. He makes it very clear as to why he's coming out, to bring reform within the ummah. The third lesson that we want to look at is on his way, Abu Abdullah has a sermon with his companions. He faces his companions and he speaks to them. And these are beautiful lines for us to look at. He says to them, "O my dear companions, إِنَّهُ قَدْ نَزَلَ بِنَا مِنَ الْأَمْرِ قَدْ تَرَوْنَ." O my dear companions, you can see the state. You can see what has befallen upon us. In other words, there's no going back from here. You've seen what lays ahead of us. And history shows that a few people actually, from when Imam steps out to go towards Kufa, a few people joined him because they thought that he was going to bring about a change in the hukumat. He was going to get khilafat, he was going to gain power, and they wanted to be there when he gains the power. But as they realized slowly that there's nothing but death over here for us, people started separating. People started moving away until the khalis, the pure ones, were left. So Imam is telling his companions that you see the state above and in front of us. There's no coming back from here. وَإِنَّ الدُّنْيَا قَدْ تَنَكَّرَتْ وَتَغَيَّرَتْ. The dunya has changed. This dunya that we were in, it's changed. What does Abu Abdullah mean? He means the people in this dunya have changed. The dunya is the same. The people around us have changed. You look around now, people are no longer the way they were. وَأَدْبَرَ مَعْرُوفُهَا وَاسْتَمَرَّتْ جَذَّاء. Goodness has turned away, it continues to remain barren. وَلَمْ يَبْقَ مِنْهَا إِلَّا سُبَابَةٌ كَسُبَابَةِ الْإِنَاءِ. When you look in this world right now, Imam Hussein is telling his companions, when you look around, the good people, there's such few good people that are left. It is as if when you drink water from a glass of water, after you finish drinking the water, the few droplets that are left, that's the amount of goodness and the amount of good people that are left in the world right now. This is the state in which Abu Abdullah is standing and stepping out to face the zalim of his time. So he tells his companions that this is the state that we're in right now. وَخَسِيسُ عَيْشِ كَالْمَرْعَ الْوَبِيلِ. It is as if when an animal is finished with the carcass, that which is left, this is how few the people are that are left that are good. Again, highlighting the state that Abu Abdullah was going out in and the need and the importance. You can imagine that if he hadn't stood up and Yazid would have continued, what the state of Islam would have been today. These are the number of people that are left. Such few people that you can count them in your fingers. Then he says the famous statement that we've heard often. أَلَا تَرَوْنَ إِلَى الْحَقِّ لَا يُعْمَلُ بِهِ. Do you not see that haqq, truth, is not being acted upon? وَإِلَى الْبَاطِلِ لَا يُتَنَاهَى عَنْهُ. And batil is not being refrained from. People are falling into batil. Haqq and batil has changed. When it comes to haqq and truth, people don't pay attention to it anymore. When it comes to batil, people are accepting of it. They're going towards the batil. Similar to how when we look around in the world right now, these are similar situations that we live in. how haq and batil have changed their positions. Imam is telling his companions, and he's leaving this in history books to remain, that look, this is not like the time of Fatah Makkah. This is not the time when we conquered Makkah. This is not like the time when we conquered Rome or different places that Islam was able to conquer. This is different. Imam is telling his companions that look at the situation right now. And he's telling you and I as well. أَلَا تَرَوْنَ إِلَى الْحَقِّ لَا يُؤْمَنُ بِهِ. Do you not see how haqq is not being acted upon? And then he continues, فَإِنِّي لَا أَرَى الْمَوْتَ إِلَّا السَّعَادَةِ. I do not see death except salvation, except success. وَلَا الْحَيَاةَ مَعَ الظَّالِمِينَ إِلَّا بَرَمًا. And I do not see death, and I do not see rather life living with these dhalimeen except misery. This is a lesson that Abu Abdullah is teaching us. It's very interesting, the choice of words that he uses once again. He says, إِنِّي لَا أَرَى الْمَوْتَ إِلَّا سَعَادَةً. He uses what in Arabic we call hasr. When you say a sentence with illa, this is called hasr. When you make an exception, it means it's nothing but this, nothing except this. It's like, for example, if I say that, for instance, I say that Ma ja'a Ali, Ali hasn't come. Ali didn't come. Let's say Ali didn't arrive into the masjid. Ali hasn't come. Then there's a time where I say, for example, Ma ja'a illa Ali. Nobody came except Ali. That means I'm separating and saying that inside this masjid right now, for instance, there's nobody who's come except Ali. You won't see a single person except Ali here. Imam is using this hasr and saying that La ara al-mawta illa sa'ada. I do not see death except salvation. There's nothing in death except success for me. This death has no meaning right now except salvation. In other words, there is no other way out over here. And if anybody is fooled into thinking that there is another option, then think again. There's nothing left here. There's no option left. We've reached the end of the road. This is why Abu Abdullah stands up against Yazid. When you look into the world today, when you and I look around and we see the oppression that's happening as well, and people ask this question, then why are these people standing up? Why don't they just give in? Why are they ready to lose their lives, their houses, their property, their family, their land, everything that they have, they're ready to give it up? What's the purpose behind this? Just sign a peace treaty, sign the accords that are being set forward in front of you and given. There's no need for all of this. When we look around, we see that there is no adalatul ijtima'iyya. The justice around the world has been lost. These people are living in a state where now there's no justice. أَلَا تَرَوْنَ إِلَى الْحَقِّ لَا يُؤْمَلُ بِهِ. Do you not see that haqq around them has been taken away from them? There's no haqq. There's no basic justice. When a person wakes up in the morning not knowing where he's going to get his food from, when he goes to sleep at night not knowing if he's going to wake up in the morning, basic needs, house taken away, family killed. When this kind of oppression is happening around you, do you expect people to stay down and just turn over and give everything that they have? The message of Karbala teaches this. These are the messages that you and I need to be able to extract from the lessons of Karbala. Otherwise, like we said, we cry for something that happened 1400 years ago. Yes, it's good, but if we don't have any lessons that we're taking from it, then we haven't understood the essence of Karbala. These people, they've understood the essence of Karbala. When they stand up against the oppressor, this is where they get the lessons from. But what is haqq? What is truth? This is a question that we want to explore briefly, inshallah. What is this truth that we speak of? What is haqq? A person comes to Amirul Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullahi wa salam alayhi, and he says to him, This person returns to Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, أتراني أظن أصحاب الجمل كانوا على ضلالة. Do you want me to accept and do you wish me to think that the Ashab of Jamal, the people who came out to fight you, O Amir al-Mu'mineen, O Ali, these people who came to fight you in Jamal, they were misguided? Do you really expect me? In other words, in my words, do you take me so much as a fool to accept that these people who came to fight you in Jamal, they were misguided, for example, and you were guided? Look at how Amir al-Mu'mineen replies to him. This is a lesson. He says, فَقَالْ يَا حَارِث, he tells the person, إِنَّكَ نَظَرْتَ تَحْتَكَ وَلَمْ نَظَرْتَ فَوْقَكَ فَحِرْتَ. Oh Harith, you looking down. You haven't looked up above you. Your vision and how far you can see is only beneath you. You haven't looked above you. Oh Harith, if you were to look above, you would understand where haqq and batil stands. But your vision is limited. Sometimes we say that a person is walking, he can only see as far as his nose is, or he can only see in front of his steps. Meaning that the person doesn't have a broader view of things. His lens is limited. He doesn't see the reality. Imam is telling him, you don't see the reality. You're only looking by your feet. You haven't looked above. And then he says, إنك لم تعرف الحق فتعرف من أتاه ولم تعرف الباطل فتعرف من أتاه. You haven't understood what haqq is. You haven't understood what batil is so that you can understand who brings it and who comes with it. You lack this ma'rifah. And there are people like this. You look around, you'll find people like this. Sometimes ourselves even we fall into this trap. That whenever we want to know whether or not something is good, we'll say, oh, is this certain person going there? And then you're told, yes, this person is going there. Okay, then I'll go there. Has this person subscribed to this idea and this thought? Yes, okay, then this idea must be correct. As if haqq and batil revolves around a person. As if because this person is going here, then that means that this must be true. We have changed what the mizan of haqq is. The definition of haqq we've taken as this person and that person. When I see, for example, this friend of mine, if he has this view, then yes, I accept it. Open our eyes, have a little bit of ma'rifah, understand that haqq is not determined by people. The Quran tells us, وَالْوَزْنُ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْحَقِّ. The scale on that day will be haqq, not this person and that person. This person, when he misguides you and he takes you to the hellfire, at that point you realize that this person was not haqq, and I put all my eggs in his basket. The Quran is telling us that haqq is independent of what this person and that person says. Yes, there is one exception, of course. There is one exception, and that is that Aliyun ma'al haqq wal haqq ma'ali. Where Ali stands, haqq stands, and where haqq stands, Ali stands. You want to look at where haqq is, look where Ali stands. You want to see where Ali is, understand that haqq is over there. These two, they're synonymous. They go together. But apart from this, in our day-to-day lives, it shouldn't be the case that all of our knowledge, all of everything that we do, we depend on a certain person. If this person is doing this, then I'm going to do what the person is doing. We need to be careful and understand and look for haqq and not people. Because people will misguide us. People will take us to the wrong path. But if you understand where haqq lies and you go behind haqq, then know that you will be secured. Today, again, you look around worldwide and on social media, in discourses, when people are speaking, when officials of governments and countries are speaking, you see that their definition of haqq differs from what our definition of haqq is. You find that when they want to define haqq, they define haqq as their interests, what their maslahat is. Wherever their interests are concerned and wherever their interests are secured and protected, that's where haqq is. And this is the reason why you find that even though so openly, blatantly in front of your eyes, There's oppression and a genocide that's happening. People can't stand up and speak up against it. Why? Because my interests are at stake over here. Our country's interests are at stake. It's something that we need to look into. This is coming from Muawiyah. This kind of thinking comes from Muawiyah. When you look in history, Amir al-Mu'minin defines Muawiyah. He says that Muawiyah is cunning. If I was to use Muawiyah's tactics, then I would have won. But of course, we stand with Haqq. Even though I'm cleverer than Muawiyah, but Muawiyah uses batil and he uses his cunning tactics to trick the people. This idea of protecting my interests at whatever stake, no matter what, is exactly what took Umar ibn Sa'd to where it took him. If you look at Umar ibn Sa'd, he has a piece of poetry that he says sometimes it's good to look at these pieces of poetry so that you and I can learn from them. Umar ibn Sa'd says, أَأَتْرُكُ مُلْكَ الرَّيْ وَالرَّيْ رَغْبَتِي. Should I leave the mulk and the hukumat of Ray? Ray was a place in Iran, in Tehran, and it's still there. He was promised Ray by Ibn Ziyad. He says, should I leave Ray while Ray is what my heart craves and seeks? أَمْ أَرْجِعُ مَذْمُومًا بِقَتْلِ حُسَيْنٍ. Or should I go towards killing Hussein? وَفِي قَتْلِهِ النَّارُ الَّتِي لَيْسَ دُونَهَا. And whilst I know that killing Abu Abdullah and killing Hussein guarantees me the hellfire and nothing else. حِجَابٌ وَمُلْكُ الرَّيْ قُرَّةُ عَيْنٍ. But the mulk of Ray is the sweetness of my eye. His interests are at stake. He knows what the truth is. He knows. He's saying this himself, that in killing Abu Abdullah, hellfire is assured for me. But the mulk of Ray is sweet. The mulk of Ray is what I've been craving. The sweetness of my eye lies in the mulk of Ray. This is Umar Sa'd saying this himself. These are his words. That's why you find, like I said, that many countries will only defend whatever comes in their defense. Whatever is at their benefit, they will defend. One of these Arab countries, the leaders, he was told that, will you not open up the border and help these people? He came out and said that nobody will define what our interests are except for us. Nobody can tell us what's good and what's bad except us. In other words, this is not in our interest, and so we will do what is within our interest. But you're seeing clearly with your eyes what's happening. You're seeing what's happening. Yet because my interests are at stake over here, my maslahat and my interest is at stake, then I'll turn a blind eye. This is exactly what Abu Abdullah is saying. أَلَا تَرَوْنَ إِلَى الْحَقِّ لَا يُعْمَلُ بِهِ وَإِلَى الْبَاطِلِ لَا يُتَنَاهَى عَنْهُ. Do you not see how haqq is being trampled upon and thrown aside and nobody's paying attention to it? And how batil is being accepted so readily? Is this not what we see around us as well? Sometimes you find people who come and they'll tell you that, look, this idea of haqq and truth, haqq is relative. It's nisbi. It's something that's relative. You see, what's good for you may be bad for me. And what's bad for you may be good for me. Truth, it may be truth for you, but for me it's not true. Haqq and batil are relative. Something that is haqq for you may be batil for me. Something that is batil for you may be haqq for me. Where are these ideas coming from? So haqq has no essence of its own. Haqq itself doesn't have any meaning. Haqq is relative. For one person it's true and for another person it's not true. And these are real ideas that intellectual people, philosophers have put across. The relativity of morality, if you want to look into it. That morality, good and bad, good and evil, is something that's relative. Truth is relative. Honesty is relative. Goodness is relative. These are ideas that are floated about. This is not correct. As Amir al-Mu'minin highlights to us, haqq is haqq and batil is batil. There is no saying that for me it's haqq and for you it's batil. Just like the other laws in the universe that govern the universe, when it comes to gravity, for example, when it comes to mass density, when it comes to these different things, the speed of light, all of these have Fixed values, these are things that are thabit, they do not change. And that's why we're able to make these structures. That's why, for example, we're able to make ships and boats and aeroplanes and spaceships that go out, because the universe has fixed laws. Haqq and batil is also fixed. This doesn't make sense that haqq and batil is relative. Do not get fooled by people who come with these kind of ideas. So the University of Abu Abdullah is an all-encompassing one. It is one that leaves no one aside. It's a wide university that has place for each and every single one of us. But we need to be ready. The conditions need to be prepared within our hearts for us to be able to enter above the ship, as we know that Abu Abdullah is Safinatul Najat, the ship and the ark of salvation. But in order to embark on this ark, I need to be ready myself. I need to place myself in a position where I can now embark on this ark. One of the lessons that we learn, a practical lesson that we see, is the lesson of bravery. Bravery, shaja'ah. Bravery is something that is a lesson that we take from Karbala. You see, when it comes to bravery, there's different kinds of bravery. One is the kind of bravery that you see on the battlefield, which you see in Karbala. You see, for example, when Abu Fadl al-Abbas rides out and is only going to get water, yet 4,000 people surround that area in order to stop him. This is bravery. This is fear that is etched into the hearts of the enemies, such that one man riding out to get a bit of water, 4,000 people have to stand over there to try and defend. This is bravery. So one bravery is bravery on the battlefield, which we see in Amirul Mu'mineen as well. But then there's another kind of bravery that you and I see. The hadith tells us, أَشْجَعُ النَّاسِ مَنْ غَلَبَ هَوَاهُ. You want to see who the bravest of people is? You want to know who the bravest of people is? مَنْ غَلَبَ هَوَاهُ. The person who is able to step upon his desires. These carnal desires of ours, these base desires of ours, a person who's able to step on his nafs, who's able to step on his desires, is what the hadith is telling us, is ashja'un nas, the bravest of people. Not the person who's in the gym lifting 100 kilos, for example. Yes, you're brave in your body, but you want to know what the hadith describes as the bravest of people? The bravest of that person is the one who, when he goes out into the streets and he sees the namahram and his eyes are calling him towards that, he lowers his gaze. The bravest of people is that person when he's in an area where people are mocking him, he's able to stand by the truth and defend the truth. The bravest of people is when oppression is happening around the world and people around him are quiet, he's able to make a voice and make a stance. And we see this in Karbala as well. We see how people were able to step upon their desires. You look at Hur, for example. Hur is a beautiful example. I was seeing a video the other day where one of the ulama was talking about how Abu Abdullah is so beautiful that on the 9th of Muharram, when the enemies wanted to attack, Abu Abdullah delayed it by one day so that even Hur can make his way to the camps. Because he's seen in Hur a purity. Yes, Hur has done a bad thing, but Hur has a purity within him. There is still hope in Hur. And so it's delayed so that even Hur can join the ranks of Abu Abdullah. So we see that this bravery that the hadith describes is stepping upon the nafs. And this is something that's highlighted in Karbala. But as I mentioned, tonight is the night of Ashur. Tonight is a very difficult night for the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. It's a very difficult night for our Imam, the Imam of our time. It's a night that the ulama recommend us to give sadaqah in. Tomorrow is a day when we give sadaqah for the safety of our Imam. In Ziyarat Nahiya, the Imam of our time calls out and he says, لَأَنْدُبَنَّكَ صَبَاحًا وَمَسَاءً. I will cry for you day and night, morning and evening. وَلَأَبْكِيَنَّ عَلَيْكَ بَدَلَ الدُّمُوعِ دَمًا. I will cry in place of tears. I will cry blood for you. This is the state of the heart of our Imam on a night like this. This is a very difficult night for our Imam. A very, very difficult night for our Imam. A painful night. The night of Ashur has arrived. Let us call out and send our salams to our Imam. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. All together now. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. The night of Ashur has arrived, the night that we've been waiting for. Imagine the heart of your Imam on a night like this. Shab Ashur is here. The Maqtal tells us a time comes when Aba Abdullah is left all alone on the plains of Karbala. There is nobody left from his companions, nobody left from his children, except for two, except for Sajjad and Ali al-Asghar. There is nobody left with Aba Abdullah. At this moment, he raises his voice, he says, أما من مغيث يغيثنا لوجه الله أما من ذاب يضب عن حرم رسول الله. Is there anyone to help us? Is there anyone to assist us? Is there anyone to aid us? Oh my Mawla, how I wish I was there to call out and say, Ya Aba Abdullah, I'm here for you. At this moment, he hears a crying, he hears two cryings. First, he hears the sound of Ali Asghar, as if he's trying to say, I'm here, my Baba, I will defend you. He then hears the sound of the crying of the women from the tents. He calls out, وَقَالَ لِزَيْنَبْ. He turns to Zainab, he says, ناوليني ولدي الصغير حتى أودعه. O Zainab, bring to me my little child, bring to me Ali al-Asghar, so that I may bid farewell to him. Imagine in this moment, there is one mother who is preparing Asghar. Imagine the heart of Rubab as she prepares her little soldier. Imagine the state of her heart as she prepares to hand Asghar to Abu Abdullah. Ali, my dear, do you hear your Baba's cry? The sound of his loneliness beneath the sky. Do you see the way he stands all alone before an army cold as stone? Ali, dear, your Baba pleads. Do something now, my heart it bleeds. Let him take you to the battlefield, where your strength is all I have as a shield. Bring to tears these hardened eyes, let them feel what honor defies. What does Rubab have if not you to offer her master pure and true? فأخذه وأومى إليه ليقبله. Abu Abdullah takes Ali al-Asghar and he heads out to the enemies. He calls out to the enemies, يا قوم إن لم ترحموني فارحموا هذا الطفل. If you do not have mercy for me, Hussein, then at least have mercy on this little child. ألا ترونه كيف يتلظى عطشا. Do you not see how he burns in thirst? Ali al-Asghar is thirsty. At this point, the wretched Mal'oon Hurmala, he knows he cannot let this continue. After all, who can bear to see a little infant with lips so dry? فرماه حرملة بن الكاهل الأسدي لعنة الله تعالى بسهم فوقع في نحره فذبحه. Hurmala takes an arrow. Hurmala aims it at the little soft neck of this infant of Abu Abdullah. Hurmala fires the arrow. Oh, arrow of Hurmala, wait, don't fly. Don't pierce the air, don't fly through the sky. Where is your shame, your trembling fear? Do you not see who it is you draw near? He is but a rose, a breath, a sigh, a cradle's hum, a lullaby. His only crime, a thirst so deep that even the angels pause to weep. Oh, arrow, stay, be still, be kind. Don't leave this wound on hearts behind. This neck you seek, so soft, so bare, was made for kisses, not for despair. But alas, the arrow strikes the soft neck of Ali al-Asghar. Hussein is left with an infant kicking in the air as he breathes his last. How can Abu Abdullah return to the tents like this? How will Rubab face Ali Asghar like this? What will little Sakina say when she sees her brother covered in blood? فقال لزينب خذيه, O Zainab, take him from me. ثم تلقى الدم بكفي فلما امتلأتها رمى بالدم نحو السماء. Abu Abdullah takes the blood in his hands and he throws it towards the sky. Imam Bakr says not a single drop came back down onto the earth. Then Abu Abdullah turns to Allah and he says, هون علي ما نزل بي أنه بعين الله. Oh Allah, it is easy on Hussein because I know that this is happening under your watchful eye. But tonight is the day, a night of Ashur. We cannot end the Masayib like this. Oh Hussein, my dear Mawla, the tragedies have only just begun. A moment comes now when Abu Abdullah goes out to fight the enemies himself. Hussein is all alone. He fights bravely. This is the son of Haydar. He sends the enemies of Allah to hell. But at the end, Hussein is tired. Hussein is thirsty. Hussein has been taking the bodies from morning up until now, bringing them back one by one. Hussein has carried the bodies of Habib, the body of Ali Akbar, the body of Abbas. Hussein is tired. He takes a moment to take a break, but the Mal'oon strikes him, they throw an arrow at him. Imam falls to the ground. The enemies surround him now, but nobody wants to finish the job until Shimr the Mal'oon steps forward. He sits on the chest of Abu Abdullah وجلس على صدره وقبض على لحيته. He grabs the beard of Abu Abdullah. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد.